Good morning. This is Dr. Lori Baudino.
And Coach Derek.
And we're here with Sports Parents Are Us. Last week we talked about, I know I'm going to get to who we are.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about parenting philosophies, your parenting styles at home, and how do they work on the field?
Bringing them together. There, bringing the parents and the coaches, putting them on the same page, getting them on the same page.
So once again, Dr. Lori Baudino, I'm in private practice specializing with children and parents from attachment work all the way up to teens, anything from parenting challenges to more clinical diagnostic interventions such as working with children on the autism spectrum, even children with disabilities and other mental and physical disease and illness, and as well as getting into the schools, supporting schools. What else? I'm sorry. I'm
teams and leagues and kind of bringing the science into the athletics. Yeah. Right? And I'm Coach Derek, and I have been working with children now in the sports world for about 26 years. Yeah. Man, that's a long time. And, my general philosophy is we can coach to teach. We can coach to learn as opposed to coaching to win. And I think that will help keep kids in the game.
Absolutely. And we are in black and white today.
Yeah.
Okay? Because today is Throwback Tuesday. We thought we would explore the dynamics of the ins and outs of old school coaching and old school parenting. What worked? What was it like? And have we evolved? Have we come somewhere from there?
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but I was born in 1992. Yeah. Right? So, when you start to think about how we were parented and how we were coached and how we see it differently. Right. So when I think about Throwback Tuesdays and I think about old school coaching, they're wearing the ball cap, they got the whistle, and they're saying things like, suck it up.
Suck it up.
Just suck it up. Yeah. There's no crying, there's no whining. And to be honest with you, snacks was never an activity.
There's no eating.
There's definitely no eating.
No crying in sports, no eating in sports.
Right.
Get out there and keep going.
And you keep going no matter what.
You talk back, you talk out loud, you run a lap.
You're out, yeah.
Or you're
exactly.
off the team.
Exactly. I mean, it was an era where, you do whatever the coach tells you to do. I mean, that's how I grew up playing.
It's interesting because when you just said that, I got this memory of I think it's a sport, but even doing theater and dancing, because I played sports and I did theater and dancing as well. But I remember I sneezed on stage during a rehearsal at this really prestigious acting program. Yeah. And the director said, "Who just sneezed?" And everyone froze. And he said, "Get off my stage."
Come on.
And I was told to get off.
Wow. How did it make you feel?
It felt horrible, and I didn't mean to.
Right.
But it was one of those things of like, in the middle of a show, you're not going to mess up the show.
Wow.
You hold that in. You figure it out.
You figure it out.
And so anyway, I just had this like very visual moment of it actually happening to myself.
So, and how did your parents...
Actually, in that example, my parents weren't there. Nobody was there.
Okay.
I just had to, go talk to a friend about it. I probably definitely cried, and then I had to come back and decide whether I wanted to keep going or not, whether I could handle it. But this is kind of, let's segue into about parenting. Old school parenting is similar in the sense of like these stereotypes of, you do it because I said so. You don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Definitely, no question.
There's a definite divide between who the adult is and who the child is.
Clear.
And you know your role, and you don't cross it.
Now, I believe there's still some good to that. Like it's not. There's still. I know as a coach. Look, we know now that you don't have to have fear, right? To teach. You don't. I can gain respect. Right. And their loyalty without a child being scared of me. Right. Based on the consequences that will follow.
Right.
right?
Right.
So that being said, how does a coach? Well, let's go back to a parent. How does a parent convey that when it comes to coaching? How can a parent say they are the authority, you are to listen to them,
and have that respect?
But can you question?
Right. So for today, because we have this brief moment with our audience, just some quick tips is just that respect can look like just the body language of it. Okay. So we still want to instill eye contact.
Right.
Yeah. So requesting people to look at your faces, and you should look at your child's faces. Okay. Respect means waiting your turn. So having that patience to say when someone's mouth is moving, our mouth should be shut.
Oh, I like it.
So that's that simple like superpower skill. Like you've got these super eyes can watch, and your eyes can watch, and I can notice when your mouth is closed. I can keep going, but if I see it open, I might have to start to fade mine out. Right. These are skills we can teach. This looks like respect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It just starts that process because now the child's engaged in listening. When you say take a knee and you get down on the level, you can still be like, hey, listen to me, I've got important information that's going to be help you with your safety and your skills, but I can be on your level when I'm saying it. I don't have to be above you.
I like it.
So we've evolved in the sense of we can still teach and set those expectations of, hey, I am the adult, or I'm the coach, or I'm your parent, and I'm here to support you. But it's coming from a place of love versus that fear.
Right.
And some of that is just getting on that eye level, changing our posturing, thinking about how we're saying the words, telling our kids what they can do versus just saying, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
Oh, that's huge.
So we've got all these amazing tricks. But I think when you're talking about like some of it can still stay, it's just that it's okay to have clear boundaries of when something crosses the line to say this doesn't fit and really stick with it.
Right.
So if a kid is constantly not listening during practice and you're trying to teach the rest of the group, having that time to pull them over the side and say, hey, doesn't work here.
Okay, now that's huge. As coaches, knowing when and where, okay? Because if you call out a child in front of everyone,
right?
All right, I refer to it as there's dugout talk, and there's on the field talk.
Okay.
All right, now the dugout talk is we're one-on-one, we're not embarrassing, we're not shaming, we're having a conversation. But if I scream out onto the field, hey, Billy, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Now, forget what had just happened, because now there's embarrassment, there's shame, and more than likely getting defensive. Right. Because now I got to protect.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. And we were talking yesterday off camera about the science of it, how the brain would look at it as like a stress incident of like, oh gosh, someone's attacking me,
right?
So I have to freeze, flight, or fight, right?
Or faint.
Or faint, yeah. And why would we want to instill that into someone's experience when it's not necessary?
It's not necessary,
right? There's other stressors that are already happening. We don't need to add that into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So have we evolved?
I mean, I know I have.
Yeah.
Right. I grew up. My dad was very, very compassionate, very loving. But there were times when I felt like I didn't have a voice.
Right.
Right. You just do what you're told, and there are certain rules to respect the game that we're playing. Yeah. Whether that was basketball or baseball or football, and there was etiquette. Which I love,
yes.
Right? I think there is a certain respect towards the game that you're playing, but at the same time, I enjoy a child that can question, why am I doing this? Why do I have to stand there? Why can't I stand? You know what I mean?
My own kids were asking me the other day, they weren't allowed to do something at a certain sport. And I said, I said I had different ideas of that I would have allowed them to do it.
Right.
But in this setting, the coach and the environment didn't allow it. And so I asked them. I told them we could go and ask that facility how come they made that rule.
Right.
What's the reason for it, and understand it better. So we can ask those questions. It doesn't mean we're going to change the rule, but we might want to explore Why is it meaningful? What does that mean to us?
Look, ultimately, as human beings, I mean, well, let me speak for myself. If I have a general understanding, then I'm more likely to adhere to whatever I need to do.
Right.
But if I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right. Then
You know what? I'm going to be a little hesitant. I'm going to be a little reluctant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think when it comes down to etiquette, it is an exciting experience to teach our children. You know, about, I know for like dance classes, ballet has strict etiquette. You can't come late or you don't go in the class.
Right.
And I think it applies for sports as well.
Absolutely.
Certain ways of like how you put your bag down, when you get to practice.
Running on and off the field.
Running off and on.
As opposed to
taking
walking.
breaks to go get food or snack.
Right.
When's the time for that? So really talking about etiquette with your kids can be that old school mentality.
Yeah.
But we're adding in this idea of that it has meaning to it. That it's not just because we said so, but because there's a reason behind it and we can teach them how to do that.
And that makes sense. And remember, just because we were taught that way doesn't necessarily mean we can't change it for our children.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. And it's that just right balance.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we have one more coming up next week. Wow. So many things to talk about.
I know.
I think we need to talk about what to tell your kids when they're starting out in sports. What kids should hear. What do they need to be thinking about on the field? But if we change our mind this coming week, then we'll surprise you and come up with something else to say. And of course, you can always write in and tell us what your questions are, and we love hearing from you all. Please visit my website, drloribaudino.com, and subscribe to my Moving Moments. It's a weekly newsletter. It's about a special moment with a child in terms of therapy and how the mind-body approach works, as well as following me on all the social media platforms. I'm trying my best to get out there and making it personal and meaningful for you all to read and learn about because I want to inspire and keep working with children and families. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yep.
And then
You do Snapchat?
No. Oh my gosh, he's adding one more to my repertoire. Okay, well, we'll
There's
think
like a
about
couple
that.
more. They just seem to keep coming. You can see me on CoachDerek.com and check out what we have coming up, especially for the summer.
Yeah, and definitely keep in mind, if your kids are out there on a field and they're playing on a team and you're thinking about, hey, how do we get this kind of dialogue going on in our program?
Yes.
We are available. We come out to programs, we work with programs and talking to them so that
work with coaches.
You find the best approach for your family and your whole team. So keep us in mind. And thanks for tuning in to Throwback Tuesday. See if you are applying this evolving way of sports.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.